As he opened his mouth to shout for help, a roiling liquid poured onto his face and into his mouth, cutting off his complaints. Joey reflexively coughed, but couldn't free his head from the fluid. He tried to hold what little breath he had remaining, but was entirely covered with no access to air. When his lungs felt like they were beginning to explode, he finally breathed in. Air rushed into his lungs, and he blinked at the suddenly bright pod. Wait, he wasn't looking at the pod. He was standing, breathing heavily as he read the words hovering in front of him. Welcome to Eternium. There is no saved data for your profile. Would you like to make a new character? Selecting no will lead to true death. Yes or no? Easy answer. Joey selected yes. Great. This will be the only time you will ever be able to create a character, as your status is about to legally become dead. Ouch. Sorry about that. Make sure to make wise decisions. Would you like to select an available starting class or undergo tests and trials to see what the right choice is for you? These tests may unlock different or even unique classes based on your ability, but be warned. Taking the tests and showing low aptitudes may reduce the amount of available classes. You can exit these tests at any time. Start game or take tests. Well, if he was going to be here for a long time, he didn't want to be a boring archetype. Thank goodness he had studied video game theory for the last few weeks. Joey reached out and pressed, wait. He looked at his hand, moving on its own, under his own power. He jumped and smiled. His body was working again. He reached out and selected the Take Tests option. The air around him shimmered, and suddenly he was standing in an unending hallway. A prompt appeared in front of him just as something screamed the only word that had been on the prompt. Run! If his time in the army had taught him anything, it was never to hesitate when there were clear signs of danger. He sprang forward, running down the hallway as fast as possible. Behind him, he heard a massive wham. He chanced to glance over his shoulder in time to see a massive boulder crash through the roof where he had been standing. It must have weighed tons, possibly multiple tons if it wasn't hollow, and it started rolling down the slightly sloped hallway toward him. He ran faster. He had just gotten the use of his legs back, and there was no way in heck he was letting them get crushed. As he ran, the rock behind him slowly gained speed. The further he ran, the more the hallway sloped until it was at a 45-degree angle. At this point, even Joey's intense desire to run couldn't save him. The rock caught up to him. No! As soon as it brushed the back of his body, he found himself in another area. He looked over and saw he was in the desert, next to the Humvees and helicopter that had so drastically changed his life. He was confused. Had he been dreaming? Was that all a premonition?